Good, good, good. Wow. So close. Let's watch it again. Very, very, very close.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
Why did Kindred path down instead of continuing to path back?
Let me see.
The last auto.
Most likely what it's gonna be is she has full stack. Well, I know what you're talking about. She has full stack Conqueror, and what she's doing is she knows her Conqueror stacked up. She figures if she oh, well, that's just the Graves autos. You see that?
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's what pushed her down.
Well, no, she's trying to avoid the Graves autos and the Ezreal Qs. She's trying to avoid both.
Gotcha.
So you're gonna see it. Watch. She figures that if she gets around the Graves auto and the Ezreal Q, if she kills this Graves here, she's gonna get Triumph, and she's gonna kill the Ezreal too. This is actually a really, really close fight, believe it or not. Not just because the Graves, like, she's gonna kill both if she kills the Graves every time.
Yeah.
It's a very, very close fight. That's a good question, though.
Can I have a question?
Sure, go ahead.
About that play before. Why didn't she target Ezreal?
Because Ezreal...
Than Graves.
Well, okay, these are all good questions. So, basically, the reason why she doesn't target Ezreal is because she probably suspects... Let me see here.
He teleports?
Yeah, she's probably just gonna expect him to run away. Oh, well, she's already started stacking up her damage onto the Graves. Right, she already has her passive going. So like here, if she swaps targets, she probably figures she won't do damage. She won't do enough damage quick enough. You see, look how much damage she does to Graves here at the end. Because when she started autoing somebody, she kind of has to commit to it to complete the stacking, right? And she can't really swap to Ezreal. She probably also feels like there's a good chance that Ezreal might just E away. She doesn't know, but she probably just figures. Or she could just literally have mistargeted and just be A left clicking the ground and just hoping for the best. All right, so let's look at this. All right. All right, I got a question. Let's see. Let's go with... Who have I not talked to? I'm trying to pick people at random. Ali's. You here? If I said the name right. It's kind of a weird one. Some of y'all are chickens hiding behind muted mics. Church.
Yeah.
So, in this situation, do you think that we can, we obviously know that a dive's coming, right? But the question is, do we think Ezreal is going to survive? That Ezreal is dead to rights. I think Ezreal's dead. The reason I think Ezreal's dead is because I think that once this collapse happens, I think the big thing that I'm looking at right here is I'm looking at top side right now, and I'm seeing Graves up here, right? And look at where Ahri's pathing. Ahri will... She doesn't... Oh, maybe she does have ult. She does have ult. Okay, the top is kind of high, is lying to us. So Ahri's coming too. I think Ezreal's dead here, but let's see how it plays out. Okay, Singe puddle. It's looking pretty bad. Ezreal's clutching out though. And Kindred ult. So Ezreal dies. And I would say it's not that bad for Ezreal though. Right? I would say it's not that bad for Ezreal. I mean, it wasn't like a huge giga int or anything. But so the reason, guys, just so everybody's clear, the reason why Ezreal's already dead has a lot less to do, at least in higher elo. Now, obviously, the result can change wildly depending on if someone just like chokes. But when we're talking about what's likely to happen at this level of play, and the reason why we're going over this, and just so you guys understand, at this level of play, what you're looking more at is whether or not it's a weak side scenario. Okay, that's why I stopped it here and like went over this whole talk with you guys, is because it's a weak side scenario. Yes, Kassadin's coming down. Yes, that's significant. Yes, Ezreal has flash. That's significant. But you need to realize these games are a little bit more aggressive than lower elo games. Graves being on the opposite side of the map is very, very significant to the action. Had Graves been around the bot side as this was like setting up, it would have been a lot worse. The other thing to take into account, right, is that we know that Kindred has the ult, which is going to make this dive a lot more certain a lot of the time. Kindred's gonna dive this with Ahri like literally like 90% of the time. They're gonna go under that fucking tower. They don't, once they've already got 4 people down here, this is a very aggressive server. They know they have numbers. They're gonna go for it every time. Even if it turns out that Kassadin gets a quadra kill here, they're gonna try it. So just something to think about.
So I have a question right there before Kindred dies.
Sure.
Does Ahri have charm up?
No, because she used on, she shouldn't have. Because she used on Ezreal, I believe. See?
Okay. I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
She could have charmed to save Kindred's life.
Yeah, no, she used it for the Ezreal dive to make sure that Ezreal dies there. Now this is the Amumu running it. Let's see. I think that's a pretty ambitious dive. Yeah. So this is a really good like solo queue lesson moment type of vibe where basically during this exchange, remember Graves was top, he's farming Rift, right? He's basically away from the fight and this bot lane is weak sided. There's different types of successes when you're talking about dives, okay? If the dive had just been like a straight up fucking wipe, Ezreal dies, maybe Kassadin dies, and it's just Singe down there. Sure, you could square up and hit tower, and then maybe Amumu's Q doesn't look so stupid. But in this case, because the dive, like, if you guys had to rate that dive's like effectiveness out of 10, guys in the events chat, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, how would you guys view this whole exchange for red side? Right? Some people are saying 4, some people are saying 2. I don't think it's a 2. I don't think it's... I'm saying before like the Mumu Q's in right here. Right here. We know what they're going to do after the fact, right? We know that Amumu is going to die after the fact. I'm saying before the Amumu instant. I would say the more that I assess it and think about it, I would say a 4 or even a 3 sounds pretty good to me here. And here's why. I don't think this exchange is that great for red. Here's why. I think that when you really drill down into it, Graves is getting a lot of gold here. Cassidon's even getting a lot of gold here. He's gonna be getting a lot of XP here. It's not like, I mean, obviously Ezreal gets hit pretty hard by this, but it's not like Red gets that far ahead. It's not like Red individually is getting like a bunch of gold and XP or anything. So I don't think it's like a huge win for Red. In fact, I would argue I think it's more of a win for Blue side, if you could believe that. And mainly it's just because the Rift gives a lot of local gold. When I would change my rating heavily if Kindred gets out of the dive and survives, then I would say you're looking at like a 5, 6, 7 type of scenario, right? I think it's just a hard lose for Red, even with the kill on Ezreal. I think the only way these dives are really, really worth it, guys, and this is just, you know, this is just macro talk here. I think the only way that a dive like this is mega worth is if Kindred gets out, draws the rotation, gets out, and then Kindred is already on her way to like Gromp or whatever and healing up, right? That's what we were looking for. This also shows you that I value certain deaths higher than others. If a Mumu had been the one to die on the dive, then I would have rated this dive I would have rated it higher for Red. Do you guys understand kind of what we're doing here when I'm going over this stuff? It's essentially like, what does this dive actually unlock? And all this really does is kind of fuck the jungler's tempo, to be completely honest. But if a Mumu dies, if a Mumu ends under the tower, Kindred could, you know, maybe full health. Maybe Kindred could just walk over and do Dragon like on her own at that point, right? Like that would be an option. If it, you know, it just depends on what cooldowns and who's targeted and who stays up and who goes down and all that shit. So yeah. And then obviously we know the outcome here. Amumu runs it. And somehow, it was kind of strange, the counter kills. Yeah, Kai'Sa gets a free Singed kill. And then Cassidon can't go in. Very disciplined back off by the Cassidon. I think a lot of worse players would have tried that and been really, really depressed when Kindred presses R. Or not Kindred, I mean Kai'Sa. When Kai'Sa presses R, I think you would have had a pretty sad time if he does that. Nice try by the Graves. I think it's a reasonable attempt. But this is one of those moments where we're getting like the counter kills going, right? Graves does Rift, backs, catches counter kills on the dive. Then Kindred dies. It was going to catch a counter kill on Cassidon regardless of what happened. So a very messy, bloody set of fights. I'm kind of surprised this game goes on as long as it does. And it wasn't execute, but hey, even though it's an execute, what does Kai'Sa get for that execute? Experience. Does anybody know? Yeah. Yeah, there's still some XP going, so it's not like... Sometimes people say execute like that's like the, you know, the best win ever. Yeah, the gold, losing the gold sucks, but you still get XP for that. It's kind of funny how that works. I don't know when they changed that, but you guys are going to see it. Watch right here. Watch. Wait, let me see. Kai'Sa. Watch her levels. She was level 6 when she died. How funny is that? She gets a level up even from the grave. Did you guys know that? How many of you honestly knew that? If you didn't know that, you should fess up.
I did not know that.
Really? Is that D-Mex?
Yeah, did not.
Yeah, that's wild. I wasn't D-Mex.
They added it to the game, I think, back in season 6 for supports.
Yeah, so the idea, guys, is when you're talking about executes, right? When you're talking about executes, remember that your body actually gets XP. So think about XP range. Your body still has XP range around it. It's a very weird mechanic. It's a stupid mechanic. But it's important. It's important that you guys understand it and like see it so that when you play your games, you understand what it is happening. This is why on dives, when you dive somebody and get executed, don't be like, aha, I dove him and we didn't give him gold. Like, no, dude, like that's still not good. It's a lot of XP to give away. Especially if you think about it, when Kai'Sa spawns. Look at Kai'Sa. She gets almost like a quarter of XP off that, guys. That's a lot of XP. I wish I could see like the actual the number that this is as opposed to just the bar. Man, that would be a good setting to add. Like how you see how you can see like the health and the mana. But that's like really, really good, a good thing to note.
Does that with like the Gassadin Death and the Execute, does it also work with like minions? Or is it only with like champions?
To my knowledge, it's only for champions.
Okay, thank you.
To my knowledge. I don't think you get XP from minions while you're dead. You're saying minions, I don't believe you do. We can check it. Hell, we can check it right now. I know that it isn't, but I just want to prove it so you guys can see. Because you would never fall behind in XP if that was true. See?
Yes.
Yeah, you would legit have no reason. That's why it's weird, right? Isn't that a strange thing? It works with champions, but it doesn't work with minions.
From what I've read, it's only champions and it's only the first 10 seconds after death.
Only 10 seconds? I didn't know that. So, guys, this is kind of funny to me. So, blue side is up right now. Kassadin is sitting on a bounty. Graves is sitting on a 400 gold bounty. Now, I think you guys could probably see the timeline. Blue side does not wind up winning this game. Now, is that pretty, is that what you would have expected to happen? I'm gonna be honest, like if I saw this in solo queue, I would have depression already. That's pretty crazy. So we got to see what happens here. Must be a huge gold swing at some point. Bounties are rough, man. You fuck up once, like you give the team so much gold back. Look at like Graves' bounty is massive.
I feel like it's almost better to lose in the early game.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. Wow.
I would also consider how. I was gonna say it's probably tragic to be like Kassadin and Graves being fed, but then you have to play into a Kindred.
Yeah, I mean, generally though, counters like that can't offset the amount of gold or the amount of power that these picks already have. That's just crazy that they somehow managed to throw it. I mean, oh, let's talk about this actually real quick, guys. So, let's pick somebody here at random, somebody quiet. Game Ogre, are you here? People hiding?
Hey, what's up?
All right,
Hey,
let's
what's
look
up?
at this. Let's look at this dive. What elo are you?
Plat 4.
Cool. Let's talk about this dive real quick. So this dive here, when we see it play out, do you think that this dive is worth it for the Singed? You think this is a good dive?
Yes, because it gives the money over to the Kassadin.
Yeah, I think I agree, but like when I'm asking if it's worth it or not, like if you're a support here and you look this play back over, do you think in terms of like I'm level 6 Singed
Getting rid
here?
of the flash is a little bit huge for, like, it feels really forced.
Right. It's one of those dives where we're okay with it. Right?
I
would say it's
disengaged after the Ahri ult.
well, you know why he didn't, right?
Greedy?
No. Watch it again. That would have been a lot worse if he doesn't stand under that tower. Look. Look how much damage that tower's doing. Yeah. So I think it's worth, but I'm kind of glad that I got out of you that like dumping the flash is kind of significant and it was a very forced dive, right? I think it's one of those scenarios. I like to scale things on like 1 to 10s, right? I think it's like it's like a 5.1 in terms of the worth scale, right? Like it's not bad, but it's not amazing either, because we threw our flash away, right? And it's not a clean dive. It's not a smooth dive. There was nothing about this that was smooth. When you look at it, you know, what Singe really wants to do is Singe really wants the Ahri to be stuck and grounded. That way, right as she goes to take off, she gets flipped. But as you can see, mechanically, it wasn't handled great.
So should they have just gone down as soon as the W missed? Like just rotated out of the play?
No. I think getting the kill is great. I'm just saying that the way that Singe goes about using his W is very awkward. And in fact, I would go as far as to say that there's a micro mistake that was made. I would rather, if it were me, I would rather the Singe not even flash over at all. I think the flash over is just strange. It's just a strange play altogether. Right?
Did
like,
you get it to try to get aggro? Or no? I think Kassadin got it.
I think it's a very strange play. Oh, well, actually.
Because Ahri clears the way.
Yeah,
so
I think he doesn't. I think he feels like he doesn't have a choice. I feel like he doesn't. In his mind, he doesn't have a choice, right? As he feels like if he doesn't go, he's gonna miss the opportunity. So I kind of see his logic now. It's very rushed, and the reason it's rushed is because Ahri did a good job clearing the wave, and also because they did it so quickly. Look, they avoid the Kindred. So I think overall, it's a slightly worth trade. It's not it's about as good as that situation we probably could have gotten out of it. But yeah, now that we look it back over and we see how fast the wave is cleared, I think the support is responding to the wave basically being it's about to expire, and he just says fuck it and goes. So yeah, I think I agree, and I like again how you framed it. You're like, well, it's definitely forced. It's absolutely forced.